Have you ever noticed how you can understand English really well? You can watch movies, you can follow meetings, you can read articles. But the moment you need to speak, your mind suddenly feels empty and slow, like your English disappears at the exact moment you need it most. And then you hear someone say, just learn English fast. Learn it in 30 days. Speak like a native in 3 months. And something inside you quietly thinks, what's wrong with me? Why has it taken me so long? Here is the truth that nobody tells you. Learning English fast is not the same thing as speaking English freely. And the bigger truth is this. Most people are not actually blocked by English. They are blocked by pressure. They are blocked by fear. They are blocked by the idea that their English must sound perfect before it is allowed to come out of their mouth. So they wait. They prepare. They translate. They rehearse in their head. And life keeps moving. And the moment passes, and they speak less and less. Does that sound familiar? I want you to imagine something. You're in a meeting at work. You understand what everyone is saying. You even have a good idea. You know your idea is useful, but you start building the sentence in your head. You think about the grammar, the verb tense, the article, the pronunciation. You try to make it perfect. And while you are doing that, the conversation moves on. Someone else speaks. The topic changes, and you sit there with your perfect sentence that never happened. That is not an English problem. That is a real-life confidence problem that shows up inside English. Nobody tells you that fluency is not a straight line. It is not like you study for 5 hours, and then you become 5 hours better. Fluency is more like learning to swim. At the beginning, you can understand everything about swimming. You can watch videos, you can read instructions, you can know exactly what to do. But when you get in the water, your body panics, your breathing changes, your muscles get tight. You forget what you know. Speaking English is like that. The water is the real moment, a real conversation, a real person looking at you. And the panic is not because you are stupid. It is because your brain thinks you are in danger. And why does your brain think you are in danger? Because speaking is social. Speaking is identity. When you speak, you are showing yourself. When you speak in another language, you feel like you are showing a less powerful version of yourself. Maybe in your native language, you are funny, sharp, confident, professional. But in English, you become slower. You become simpler. You become careful. And that can feel painful. It can feel unfair. And then you start protecting yourself. You start staying quiet. You start using safe phrases. You start avoiding situations. You start telling yourself, I will speak more when I am ready. But ready is a moving target. Ready keeps running away from you. So what nobody tells you is that learning English fast is mostly marketing. It is not education. Real language growth is messy. It has uncomfortable stages. It has days when you feel great and days when you feel like you forgot everything. It has moments when you surprise yourself and moments when you disappoint yourself. And that is normal. That is human. If you accept that, you start to relax. And when you relax, your English starts to come out. Let me say something that may sound strange, but it is very important. You do not become fluent by speaking perfect English. You become fluent by speaking imperfect English again and again until it becomes normal. Fluency is not the absence of mistakes. Fluency is the ability to keep going even when mistakes happen. It is the ability to stay present in the conversation, instead of leaving the conversation mentally to fix yourself. Think about the people you know who speak English well as a second language. Are they perfect? Probably not. They make small grammar mistakes. They sometimes search for words. They sometimes pronounce things differently. But they keep talking. They do not apologize every 10 seconds. They do not stop their sentence to rebuild it. They keep moving forward. And that forward movement is what creates fluency. Now I want to talk about speed, because the title says, Learn in English fast. Is it possible to learn faster than you are learning now? Yes, it is. But not in the way you think. The fastest learners are not the ones who memorize the most words. They are not the ones who buy the most courses. They are not the ones who know the most grammar rules. The fastest learners are the ones who get comfortable being uncomfortable. They are the ones who practice speaking before they feel ready. They are the ones who accept small embarrassment as the price of freedom. If you want a real example, think about travel. You arrive in a new country. You need to order food. You need directions. You need to check into a hotel. Suddenly, you're speaking more, not because your English magically improved overnight, but because the situation forces you. You stop waiting for perfect. You use what you have. You point. You repeat. You try again, and after a week, you feel more confident. That confidence is not from studying. It is from surviving real moments. That is how fluency grows. Pressure can hurt, yes, but the right kind of pressure can also wake your English up. But here is another truth nobody tells you. You can create that kind of progress without moving to another country. You just need to change what you are practicing. Most learners practice English like it is a school subject. They practice to be correct. But real-life speaking is not a test. In real life, your goal is not to be correct. Your goal is to be understood and to connect. That is it. Understood and connected. So if you are practicing by reading grammar explanations, doing exercises, memorizing long word lists, but you are not practicing real speaking moments, then of course you will feel stuck. Because you are training the wrong skill. It is like doing push-ups every day and then wondering why you cannot dance. You are getting stronger, yes, but in a different direction. Let us talk about the most common enemy of fast progress, translating in your head. This is a huge one. Many learners live inside a two-step process. Step 1, think in your native language. Step 2, translate into English. And step 3, panic because you cannot find the perfect translation. So you pause, you lose your place, you feel embarrassed. Then you decide you are not fluent. But the real problem is the process. It is too slow for conversation. People often ask, how can I think in English? And they imagine something dramatic, like one day they wake up and everything is English. But it is not like that. Thinking in English starts small and simple. It starts with short, boring thoughts. I am tired. I need coffee. Where is my phone? I do not want to go. This is interesting. This is too expensive. And you repeat these little thoughts every day, and they become automatic. Then you start adding slightly longer thoughts. I should send that email. I do not understand this part. I think he is busy today. I would rather do it tomorrow. And slowly, your brain starts creating English paths, like small roads. And the more you use those roads, the faster you travel. The reason this matters is because fluency is automatic language, not perfect language, automatic language. When you speak fluently, You are not building every sentence from scratch. You are using patterns. You are using chunks. You are using familiar phrases that your brain can grab quickly. That is why native speakers sound fast. It is not because they are geniuses. It is because they are using automatic language. So what should you do if you want to learn English faster in the real way? The first thing is to change what you believe fluency is. If your definition of fluency is speaking without mistakes, you will always feel behind. Always. But if your definition of fluency is speaking without fear, speaking with flow, speaking with enough freedom to express your meaning, then you can start becoming fluent today. Because fear is the real wall, and you can start climbing it today. Let me give you a very real, everyday situation. You are at work, and a coworker asks, "How was your weekend?" You have a story. Maybe you visited family. Maybe you rested. Maybe you went somewhere. But suddenly, you feel pressure to sound natural. You feel pressure to be interesting. You feel pressure to use correct tense. And you end up saying, "It was good." And then silence. And you feel disappointed. The problem is not vocabulary. The problem is pressure and speed. You tried to produce a perfect story in 1 second. What if instead you allowed yourself to speak in steps? What if you said, "It was good. Actually, it was pretty relaxing. I stayed home mostly. I watched a movie, and I just rested." Simple. Not perfect, but real. And then, if you make a mistake, you keep going. You do not stop to punish yourself. You keep going. That is how you train your brain to stay in English. Another situation. You are in a restaurant, and you want to change something in your order. Many learners avoid this. They just accept the wrong food because they do not want to speak. But that small moment is powerful practice. You can say, "Sorry, could I change this? I asked for no onions." Or, "Could you make it without cheese?" These are small sentences. But every time you do it, you teach your brain, "I can handle real English moments." And your confidence grows. Now let us talk about perfectionism. Perfectionism is one of the biggest reasons learners cannot speak. Perfectionism sounds like a positive thing, like high standards. But in language learning, perfectionism is often fear wearing a nice suit. It is fear of sounding stupid, fear of being judged, fear of losing respect, fear of not being yourself. And here is something you need to hear clearly. People are not thinking about your English as much as you think they are. Most people are thinking about themselves. And the people who do notice your mistakes usually do not care. They care about your message. And if someone does judge you, that says more about them than about you. You are doing something brave. You are operating in a second language. That is hard. That is impressive, even when it is messy. I want you to picture 2 versions of you. One version speaks with perfect grammar, but speaks once a month because they are always waiting, always preparing, always afraid. The other version speaks every day, makes mistakes, corrects some mistakes over time, and becomes more natural because they have real practice. Which one becomes fluent? It is always the second one. And yes, mistakes can feel uncomfortable. You might say something and realize it was wrong. You might use the wrong word. You might pronounce something incorrectly, and people ask you to repeat. In the moment, it can feel like a spotlight is on you. But that spotlight feeling is usually inside your head. The other person is just trying to understand. And when they do not understand, it is not a disaster. It is normal communication. Even native speakers say, "Sorry, What do you mean? Can you repeat that? We do that in every language. Here is a mindset that changes everything. Treat conversations like practice, not performance. Practice means you are allowed to be imperfect. Practice means you are allowed to try again. Practice means you are allowed to be a learner. Performance means you must prove something. Performance means you must protect your image. Performance creates tension. Practice creates growth. So how do you make your speaking practice real without needing a partner all the time? You talk out loud to yourself. I know it sounds strange, but it works. You narrate your day in simple English. You describe what you are doing. You rehearse upcoming situations. Before a meeting, you say out loud, "Today, I want to mention one idea. I think we should change the timeline. I am concerned about the budget." You do not memorize a script. You just warm up your mouth and your brain. Speaking is physical. Your tongue, your jaw, your rhythm. You need to train that. Silent studying does not train that. Also, stop trying to learn rare words if you cannot use common words smoothly. Fast English is built on simple words used quickly. Get comfortable with basic verbs like get, make, take, give, go, come, feel, seem. Get comfortable with simple connectors like actually, so, because, kind of, a little bit. The thing is, these small words and phrases create flow. They give you time. They make you sound natural. They help you keep moving. And one more thing nobody tells you about learning English fast. Your progress will speed up when you stop measuring it every day. If you constantly ask yourself, am I fluent yet? Why am I still stuck? Why am I not like them? You create stress. And stress blocks access to language. Instead, measure your progress in tiny victories. Did you speak even when you felt nervous? Did you keep going after a mistake? Did you explain an idea in a different way when you forgot a word? That is real progress. That is fluency training. If you want to be calmer when you speak, give yourself permission to be simple. You do not need to sound smart. You need to be clear. Simple English is powerful. Simple English is professional. Simple English is confident. You can say, I am not sure. Let me think. What I mean is, can I explain it another way? These phrases are like bridges. They help you cross the moment when your brain is searching. And while you are on that bridge, your brain finds the words. You might be thinking, but what if people laugh? What if they lose respect? What if I sound childish? Let me ask you something. When you hear someone speaking your native language with an accent, do you automatically lose respect? Or do you usually think, this person is trying, this person is learning, this person is brave? Most of us feel respect. Give yourself the same kindness. So here is the real truth about learning English fast. The fastest path is not more pressure. It is less pressure and more practice. It is not trying to sound like a native. It is trying to sound like you, but in English. It is not waiting to feel confident before you speak. It is speaking until confidence arrives. Confidence is not the ticket you need before you enter. Confidence is what you get after you enter and stay. And if today you feel stuck, I want you to remember this. You are not broken. You are not slow. You are not hopeless. You are in the normal stage that almost every adult learner experiences, the stage where understanding is high, but speaking feels scary. That stage is not the end. It is the doorway. And the key is not perfection. The key is permission. Permission to speak badly. Permission to pause. permission to try again, permission to be human in English. So the next time you're in a conversation and your mind goes blank, do not panic. Take a small breath. Say something simple. Buy yourself time. Say, let me think for a second. Or, how can I say this? Or, what I mean is. And then continue. Stay in the conversation. Do not disappear into your head. The conversation is the classroom. The moment is the teacher. Learning English fast is not a secret method. It is a decision you make again and again. The decision to speak, even when it is not perfect. The decision to stop hiding. The decision to keep going. And if you can make that decision today, even once, you are already moving faster than you think.